Most people carry a mortgage for 30 years. That's not a coincidence, it's exactly what the bank planned for. A standard 30-year loan on a $300,000 home at 7% interest doesn't cost you $300,000. It costs you $419,000. That extra $119,000 is interest, money you earned, handed over, and got nothing back for. Here's what makes that worse. Most people assume the payoff date is fixed. It isn't. The timeline is adjustable, and small changes made early in the loan, we're talking $200 extra a month, can cut 6 years off the back end and save you more than $30,000 in interest. But no one sits you down and explains the math. No one shows you the 3 moves that actually accelerate payoff without refinancing or dramatically changing your life. And almost no one talks about what actually happens to your financial situation the month your mortgage balance hits zero. By the end of this video, you'll understand what changes when the mortgage is gone, the exact numbers that tell you how fast you can get there, and the 3 strategies that work starting this month. Let's start with the destination, because if you can see it clearly, the path makes more sense. What it is, your mortgage payment disappears from your monthly expenses permanently. For most people, the mortgage is the single largest line item in their budget. The average monthly mortgage payment in the US right now sits around $1,700. When that payment is gone, it doesn't go away and get replaced by something else. It becomes yours. Think about what that actually means. $1,700 freed up every single month is $20,400 per year. In 5 years, that's over $102,000 you either keep, invest, or use however you want because the debt is gone. The psychological shift is real too, but it's not the main event. The main event is that your break-even point on life drops dramatically. If you lose your job, get sick, or want to take 6 months off to figure something out, your minimum monthly obligations just got cut in half or more. That's not an emotional benefit, that's structural financial security. And here's something most beginners don't hear. A paid-off home changes how much risk you need to take with your investments. When you have a mortgage, you're carrying a fixed monthly obligation no matter what. That pressure pushes a lot of people toward aggressive investing just to stay ahead. When the house is paid off, you can afford to be more conservative or more aggressive, depending on your goals, because your foundation is locked in. What to do right now for this step? Pull up your last mortgage statement. Find your current balance and your payoff date. Write both down. That payoff date is your starting point, the number you're going to move earlier. What it is, your extra monthly payment amount, and how many years it removes from your loan. Here's the math made simple. Extra payments on a mortgage don't just reduce your balance by that dollar amount. They eliminate future interest on that balance. Every extra dollar you pay toward principal today is a dollar that will never accumulate 30 years of interest on top of it. Let's run a real example. You have a $300,000 mortgage at 7% interest, 30-year term. Your monthly payment is around $1,996. If you pay an extra $200 per month starting in year 1, you pay the loan off in about 24 years instead of 30. That's 6 years gone. Total interest saved, approximately $32,000. Add another 100 on top, 300 extra per month total, and you're looking at cutting over 7 years off the loan and saving closer to $44,000 in interest. The math compounds in your favor fast early in the loan, when more of each payment goes to interest than principal. That's the window. If your loan is newer, under 10 years old, every extra dollar you can direct at the principal right now is doing more work than it will in year 20. What to do? Take your loan balance, your interest rate, and plug them into any free mortgage payoff calculator. There are dozens available. Enter your current payment, then enter your current payment plus $100, $200, and $300. Watch what happens to the payoff date. That number, the years you can remove, is your target. What it is? 3 methods that accelerate your mortgage payoff without refinancing or financial complexity. First, bi-weekly payments. Instead of paying your mortgage once a month, you pay half the amount every 2 weeks. Sounds the same. It isn't. There are 52 weeks in a year. Half your monthly payment every 2 weeks comes out to 26 half payments annually, which equals 13 full monthly payments instead of 12. You make one extra full payment per year automatically without ever writing a separate check or thinking about it. Over a 30-year loan, that single structural change can remove 4 to 5 years from the payoff date. Most lenders will let you set this up directly. Some charge a small fee, a few dollars a month to do it. Worth the math. Second, lump sum windfalls, tax refund, work bonus side income, birthday money from a relative, anytime you receive money that wasn't in your monthly budget, directed at your mortgage principal. Not your escrow, not your regular payment, specifically principal. You have to label it that way, either on the check or in the payment portal, or the lender will apply it as a standard payment and include interest. A one-time lump sum of $3,000 applied to principal in year 2 of a 30-year loan can remove more than 6 months from your payoff date. $3,000. 6 months. That's the math working in your favor. Third, round up to the nearest hundred. If your mortgage payment is $1,742, pay $1,800. If it's $2,063, pay $2,100. The difference is small enough that most people won't notice it in their monthly budget, but it's consistent, and consistency is what the math needs. Rounding up by $50 to $150 per month on a standard 30-year mortgage can remove 2 to 3 years from the payoff date over time. You don't need all 3 strategies at once. Pick the one that fits your current situation and start there. What to do? Choose one of the 3. Bi-weekly if you want it automatic. Lump sum if you have irregular income. Round up if you want the lowest friction option. Implement it this week. If this is already changing how you think about your mortgage, the subscribe button is right there. This is what we do every week at The Vault. Real numbers, real strategies, no vague advice. Here's the thing, nobody tells you about paying off your mortgage early, and it genuinely changes the math for a lot of people. Paying off your mortgage early is not always the optimal financial move there. That's the part that gets left out of almost every conversation about mortgage payoff acceleration. Your mortgage has an interest rate. Let's say it's 7%. If you take that same $200 a month and instead invest it in a diversified index fund, a fund that tracks the broad stock market, the historical average annual return is somewhere between 8 and 10% over long periods of time. If your mortgage rate is 7% and your expected investment return is 9%, you're better off investing the extra money and letting the mortgage run on schedule. The spread between those two numbers, 2 percentage points, compounds over 20 years into a meaningful wealth difference. So when does paying off early actually win? It wins when your mortgage rate is higher than your expected investment return, which can happen in high-rate environments. It wins when you're close to retirement and want to reduce monthly obligations before your income changes. It wins when you have significant financial anxiety tied to carrying debt, and that anxiety is genuinely costing you sleep and decision-making clarity. Because financial peace has real value, and it wins when you've already maxed out your tax-advantaged investment accounts, your 401k, your Roth IRA, and you're looking for somewhere to deploy extra cash efficiently. For most beginners, the honest answer is this. Max your employer match first. That's free money you should never leave on the table. Then build a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. Then and only then start the mortgage payoff versus invest comparison. At that stage, if your mortgage rate is above 6.5% to 7%, early payoff is often the better math. Below that, investing typically wins on pure numbers. The point isn't to tell you which path is right. The point is that you now know there's a real decision to make, and you have the framework to make it. Here's what this means for you if you're early in your mortgage or haven't bought a home yet. The power of early payoff strategy is time. Every extra dollar you direct at principal in the first 10 years of a mortgage does dramatically more work than the same dollar directed at it in year 25. The loan is structured so that early payments are mostly interest, which means early extra payments are eroding the debt at its most expensive point. If you bought a house in the last 2 to 3 years, you're in the window. The decisions you make now about extra payments, even small ones, will show up as years removed from your payoff date, not just months. If you haven't bought yet, this is the thing to carry into your mortgage shopping. The rate matters less than you think compared to how aggressively you'll pay down the principal early on. A slightly higher rate with a disciplined extra payment strategy can cost you less over the life of the loan than a lower rate with a passive repayment approach. Your first move this week is simple. Find your mortgage statement. Write down your balance and your payoff date. Run the extra payment calculator with one number, even $50 extra a month. See what happens to the date. That's the moment this stops being abstract. Here's the one thing to take from this video. Your mortgage payoff date is not a fixed fact. It's a number you can move, with math you can run today, using strategies that require no bank approval and no refinancing. The house becomes yours when the balance hits zero. Most people accept 30 years. You now know it doesn't have to be next video. We're going into how to build the investment side of this equation, specifically what to do with the cash flow once the mortgage is gone. If you want to understand what a paid-off house actually does to your net worth trajectory, that one's for you.